Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back everyone. Assessment and teaching is live. Today we are going to discuss informal and formal assessment, the difference between formative and summative, the difference of norm reference and criterion reference tests. Alright, before we go to the discussion, see this picture. Analyze the following pictures. I'm going to remind you certain terms about last week discussions. What do you think of the pictures? Which one is the smartest? How can you know? Which? Who? The man, Einstein, or this big head man? Yeah. Einstein. Alright, how do you know that Einstein is smarter? Because of score? Because of the genius? Alright, it's good. So then, after analyzing the picture, we have some question for you as a teacher. Why do you need to test your student? What is your expectation after learning and teaching process? What is an important indicator? How to see that your teaching and learning is success? Yeah, the indicator. Alright, this is the answer. A competence is the main indicator. So a competence that is expected to emerge from each of the language learning process. Competence. A successful learning process can be seen from the extent of all students. They are able to master the competence to be achieved. Competence is the realm of cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Three domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Right? Do you remember? Are they the same? No, they are not the same. What do you think about this picture? So test is a subset of assessment. Still one left here. There should be a measurement here. Test is a measurement to assess the teaching and learning process. And all of these kinds of activity, there is an evaluation. Alright, this is the definition of test from Douglas Brown. If you still remember, test is a method of measuring person's ability, knowledge, or performance in given domain. So there are three components of test. If you still remember, the first is the test is a method. Test measure individual ability, knowledge, and performance. And test is measuring individual ability, knowledge, and performance in a certain domain. My PowerPoint is incorrect, I think. Alright, this is measurement, assessment, evaluation. Alright, we do not discuss it more. Alright, this is the illustrations. So if you have tests, so where is measurement and where is assessment, evaluation? Let's see. Mrs. Ellen, an English teacher, wants to know if her student have mastered a basic competence of English subject. Therefore, she gave a multiple choice test consisting 50 items to the students. This means Mrs. Ellen has already used a test consists of 50 items, 50 questions. Bu Ellen then checks the answer given by the student according to the answer keys and calculated the raw scores by using a particular formula. Apparently, the raw score obtained by the student varied from 25, 36, 44, 47, and so on. At this point, Mrs. Ellen has done measurement. calculated the score, and she find some score as the end of the score. To obtain the value and meaning of each score, Mrs. atau Bu Ellen convert the raw score into the standard score by following particular approach. The result of score conversions are as follows. 25 is 5. Did not master material well. Score 36 means 6. It means that students and blah blah blah. This interpretation of the scores are called as assessment. So 25. So what happened with 25? No students are able to do blah blah blah. It means you assess. If Bu Ellen assess all components of learning, then it is called an evaluation. Components of learning. It can be the teaching method, it can be teaching media, learning materials, learning resources. Then Bu Ellen conduct an evaluation. This is the chart for the link evaluation, assessment, measurement, and test. Assessment can be quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative measurement, but qualitative non-measurement. For example of qualitative is like if observation or interview with a student. If it is measurement or quantitative, mean it use tests like essay, objective, which have specific score. An alternative to the traditional form of assessment has been proposed in recent years. This has come to be termed as alternative assessment or authentic assessment or informal assessment. So what is informal assessment? When it really authentically reflects the student's competence. Authentic form of assessment such as portfolios, interview, journal, project work, and self or peer assessment have become increasingly common in in EFL or ESL classroom. Alright, I like to see my student portfolios, interview, or journal project rather than only seeing their score in formal tests. Alright, this is the definition we have done with this. Let's go to kinds of tests. Anak men. Test is the obvious difference. Prepared administrative procedure that occur at identifiable times in the curriculum when learners master all their faculties to offer peak performance, knowing that their response are being measured and evaluated. So they are in a really consciousness time. How about assessment? It is an ongoing process that encompasses a much wider domain. Right? This is the definition of informal versus formal assessment. I have this one. Okay. So what is the difference between formal and informal? They are incidental, informal. They are unplanned comments and response. Example include like this. Alright, nice job. Well done. Good work. This is such kinds of complimenting the student work. Classroom tasks are designed to elicit for performance without recording result and making fixed judgment about students' competence. Examples of unrecorded assessment, marginal comments on paper, notes from the teacher, responding to a draft or an essay, advice about how to better pronounce a word, a suggestion for strategy for compensating for a reading difficulty, and so on, and many more. How about formal assessment? It is formal. They are exercise or procedure specifically designed to tap into storehouse of skill and knowledge. They are planned, they are systematic sampling technique constructed to give teacher and student an appraisal of student achievement. They are tournament games that occur periodically in the course of teaching. Maybe it can be said after the end of topic you have a one test or quiz. It can be formal assessment. It can be said that all tests are formal assessment, but not all formal assessment is testing. Do you get what I mean? For example, a student journal or portfolio material can be used as formal assessment of the attainments of certain course of objective, but it is problematic to call those two procedure tests. Ya. Jadi students journal, students portfolio at the end of semester can be used to see their abilities, their performance, or their competence. So that's why it can be said as formal assessment. Example 2, a systematic set of observation of student frequency of oral participation in class. It is certainly a formal assessment, but not a test. But it is easy to say that formal assessment is always in the form of test, although it is not always like that. Then the second one, we see the different function of assessment. The function can be formative and summative. Formative means it is ongoing, evaluating student in the process forming their competence. Formative is from word forming, with the goal of helping them to continue that growth process. It provides the ongoing development of learner language. Example, when you give a student comments or a suggestion or call attention to error, there is offered to improve the learner's language ability. Virtually all kinds of informal assessment are formative. All kinds of informal assessment are formative. How about summative? It aims to measure or summarize what a student has grasped and typically occurs at the end of the course. At the end of the course. It does not point the way to future progress. All tests of formal assessment can be said as summative. Alright, the last one. For example, this is important. As far as summative assessment is considered in the aftermath of any test, students tend to think that, wow, I'm glad that's over. Now I don't have to remember that stuff anymore. This is our problem. This is a really common thing. An ideal teacher should try to change this attitude among students. A teacher should instill a more formative quality to his lesson, offer student an opportunity to convert test into learning experience. So test is learning experience. So how to make student realize that it is part of the learning itself, not the ends of the learning. Yeah, it is quite problem in our education. Kinds of tests is norm referent and criterion referent tests. Each test taker score is interpreted in relation to mean. The example is TOEFL. The criterion they are designed to give test taker feedback, usually in the form of grade, specific course, or lesson objective. One class and are connected to curriculum, so it is criterion. It is like KKM. This is based on classroom based. Criterion reference is more permanent than the norm reference. Okay, that's all from me. Let's continue to have question and answer. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm so sorry for some voice disturbing.